Can we produce a beer with home brewing equipment that is indistinguishable from its commercial counterpart?
Every homebrewer has friends that say their beer is as good as the pros. With homebrewing equipment advancing so much in the recent years, we wanted to actually put that theory to the test in collaboration with our friends at Barebottle Brewing. An homage to one of our favorite Brewing Network shows, Can You Brew It by Jameel. By brewing the same beer recipe at the same time using the same ingredients, but very different equipment. Then, serve both beers side by side at a beer festival to see if drinkers can tell the difference.
We're at Barebottle Brewing in San Francisco. We're gonna brew a Japanese-style rice lager with white koji. We're gonna do it on a Brewzilla, but then we're also doing it on their 20-barrel commercial system at the same time. So let's go inside and talk to the brewers. All right, so sitting here with Kelsey, the head brewer here at Barebottle in beautiful San Francisco.
We're brewing a rice lager. It's kind of old school meets new school. So it has Calrose rice, which is California grown, sake grade rice, as well as Viking Pilsner Zero Malt. So very nice, clean, dry base. A little bit of care body too, actually.
A little care body, yeah.
Dextriny malt to give it some mouth feel.
We're shooting for like 4.5%, 5%, so super crushable, dry. Hops, we're doing Saws all on the hot side.
Saws on
and then
hot
we got
side.
a little tricky on the dry hop.
We're using Indie Hop Strata to do, a very small dry hop, but keeping it, classic on the hot side, a little new age on the dry hop. So best of both worlds.
And then yeast, we're using a new yeast that you guys haven't used before, Cellar Science German yeast. Yeah.
Correct, so we use a lot of German strains, but we've never used this one, so we'll see.
So now that we know the recipe and we've talked to our pro brewer, let's check in with our home brewer and find out about the equipment that'll be competing with the professional setup.
All right, Chris, so we're getting ready to knock out. Let's talk a little bit about the brew day, how it went.
Awesome brew day today. We brewed on the Brewzilla Gen 4. This is the 65 liter. Brewing here at Barebottle has been awesome. Hot water on demand makes everything so much faster.
Yeah, it was really neat to, the commercial brewers coming over like, oh, how's that work? And oh my God, you guys are done, you're at a boil. Your Vorloff went way faster than ours, kind of like at awe on like how cool it is. And a lot of them started as home brewers, so they were able to speak to like, man, this is way better than what I started on. And the equipment available today is pretty cool.
One of the best words we heard all day today from the pro brewers.
Oh, cute.
Cute.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
That's
cute.
It's
a mini one of these. Cute.
Yeah.
And nuts to bolts, we actually even beat them today. And then we're gonna do a ferment in something a little bit special. So this is the super secret X3 prototype that we're gonna be fermenting on this week. This is my first batch in it. We're jacketed. We got more ports than you could shake a stick at. We'll do an entire video on this, but this is super sweet.
So both batches are in very good hands and the homebrewing equipment appears to be up to the challenge. But do our brewers really think that their beers will be indistinguishable?
All right, Chris, so what do you think? You think the homebrew version is going to be indistinguishable from the commercial batch?
Well, we're gonna find out. That's always the challenge, right? Like we're brewing on a small thing, so tons of surface area relative to what they have in terms of the batch size to kettle. But I think this size, this 65 liter size is kind of the ideal homebrew size to emulate what they're doing. So I think we're gonna get really spot on.
Do you think it's gonna be indistinguishable?
I think it could be indistinguishable, but every brewery has its own nuances with equipment or homebrew equipment. I'm curious to see, especially with our dry hop, how like the ratio of kind of the hops to surface area in the fermenter, if that's gonna affect either your yield compared to our yield or flavor when we're packaging. But no, I think we can get pretty damn close, if not exact.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna actually serve this to the public at SF Beer Week and we'll see what they say.
Barebottle was nice enough to handle all the fermentation, dry hopping, and all the cellar work for us. With 2 finished beers, we took to the internet's favorite place, San Francisco, California, to pour at the SF Beer Week opening gala and put this experiment to the test. Having some of our pro brewer friends and festival goers taste the beer side by side to see if they could tell which is which. I would get to pour for everyone and explain the rules of the challenge. But first, in order to create a catchy name for this challenge, I need to make sure I can pronounce the name for our beer correctly.
Kyoto Crush. Did I pronounce that right?
Kyoto, I mean.
Nailed it. And now for that catchy name for this challenge.
So are you ready to take the Kyoto Crush Challenge?
First, I need to taste it for myself to see if I can tell the difference.
All right, Vito here at the Barebottle booth, San Francisco Beer Week. All right, so this is beer number 1. I don't know if it's the homebrew or the commercial version. Oh man, yeah, nice aroma. Strata dry hop. Yeah, you're getting that right up front. This is delicious. All right, so here's number 2. Very similar aroma. Similar flavor too. This one's a little drier, and looking at it, the clarity is a little, it's I wouldn't say brilliant, but close. So I'm gonna guess that this is the homebrew version, and the first one I had was the commercial version. But both delicious beers, really good. All right, I got a question for you. All right, which one did you serve me first?
I served you the Kyoto Fresh.
Was it the commercial or the homebrew version?
No.
That's the pro one first.
Okay, I nailed it, guys. Thank you. Woo! Super delicious. Now let's ask everyone else.
Over the course of the night, we had many tasters, some of which were professional brewers and homebrewers, and other festival goers and beer lovers. We could proudly say that about 40% of the tasters were unable to distinguish the two beers, while 60% were able to distinguish. Taking everything into account, we're pretty happy with how this experiment turned out, but we may need to do this again in the future. Our tasters commented on the Pro version being noticeably clearer, which makes sense because it was stored in a bright tank versus our conical fermenter.
I picked the commercial one just for clarity right away.
Personally, I think we nailed it, and would have fooled even more people if the tasting was side by side or truly blind, or just had more hands on the cold and packaging side of things. As mentioned previously, Barebottle handled all the cellar work. Looking back, I think we could have done a better job of finding the homebrew version to level the playing field on the clarity side of things, and then also dialed the carbonation level in to exactly match each other.
I'm looking at the clarity. I'm also tasting the CO2 level.
The fact that we got to pour our homebrew at a prestigious beer festival was pretty amazing. Both amazing beers, and we stumped some commercial brewers and craft beer enthusiasts. I think that deserves a woo for homebrew.
Good job, homebrew, right?
Good job, homebrew.
Both are great.
It's great beer. I'm looking for a home kit so I can brew it at home.
Both excellent beers.
It's great.
Yeah, they're very close.
I'm impressed with the clarity.
Very good.
Very delicious.
Either one is very good.
Flavor-wise, they're very similar, so they're close. That consistency is good.
Both great beers?
Yeah, crisp, delicious.
But overall, this was a super fun experiment and experience. So what do you think of this experiment? Let us know in the comments.